Yeah, we're recording now. All
Yes.
is well. I had to get it out of safe driving mode because it thought I was driving, which I promise. Look, I'm not.
Unless you're in an invisible plane.
No, there you go.
I could be. As you can see, I'm dressed for it.
You are. Way to go, girl.
Thank you. I thought I should dress for the occasion.
Love it.
So thank you all for your patience. Again, I apologize. My computer just did not want to cooperate. So hi, welcome to the Wonder Woman panel. We have some amazing guests, ranging from actual Wonder Woman, not the person wearing the red bustier. And,
I'll share the stage with you any day.
oh, thank you, Shannon. That is an honor. That is a true honor. And then we have some super fans, and so let's just go around, and panelists, if you could introduce yourselves. Shannon, I will let you introduce yourself first and your connection with Wonder Woman.
Okay, you already know my name and you can see it on the screen.
Yes.
And, I had the privilege, the pleasure, and the freedom to create Wonder Woman for the Super Friends and the Challenge of the Super Friends. And I hope I brought to her everything that William Moulton Marston wanted her to have. I feel that I did, and I feel that I was the best voice for the job. So I came to it through the director that I had worked with on a commercial, and went in to interview, and he sent my tape to the network, and the rest is history.
That is wonderful. What about you, Andy?
Hi, my name's Andy Mangels, and as you see behind me, I know a few things about Wonder Woman and so forth. But recently, over the last several years, I've actually gotten to help craft Wonder Woman's future and past. I wrote the Wonder Woman 77 Meets the Bionic Woman series. That was a bestseller, and so of course they never did a sequel. And I am currently, I've written 2 so far, but I have several more. I'm helping DC put together some of the collected editions of Wonder Woman, so I'm writing the essays and helping collect the extras together to make them the best collections possible for future Wonder Woman projects. And beyond that, there may be other Wonder Woman work in my future.
Bravo, Andy.
Thank you, Shannon.
Exciting. Christian, do you want to jump in next and introduce yourself?
My name is Christian Ashler. I'm a longtime Wonder Woman fan. I say that, but I actually began collecting Wonder Woman, the comic, with George Perez's run in '89, I think it was, and I have collected since then. I stopped after Phil's run on the book. It just seemed to take a different direction for me, but I've always loved the character and what she stands for, and I will continue to support the character as long as she remains the amazing Amazon.
And Joe, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Joe Arianes. I'm also just a supreme Wonder Woman fan. Started when I couldn't even read. Some family member passed along a Justice Society of America comic that came with this cassette tape, and I just played that thing on repeat until I broke the cassette. I still have the book anyway. So I went to school and I got a degree in comics because it's always been in my blood. And I studied the history behind the development of Wonder Woman and all of that. And I've just, like Christian, been an avid fan and follower of everything. George Perez was my favorite run. But mad respect to all of the decades before to build up to that personification. And it's definitely been interesting watching her evolve still.
And then Luke, are you here still? Luke, do you want to introduce yourself? Sorry, I can't see.
I don't see a Luke on here.
Oh, okay. Well, then we will skip Luke. I wasn't sure if he was still here. All right. So next up, I think so this character has been around for 80 years. And obviously, she's not a fly by night. Some characters get created, and then like 2 years later, nobody remembers them. Obviously, she resonates really strongly. And I just want to talk about why she resonates, why you think personally that she resonates. So whoever wants to jump in first, speak up.
Well,
Don't be
I would like to jump in first on that, since I was born the same year she was.
Yes, please.
Which is amazing. I wouldn't believe that.
Well, you know,
No.
I was fortunate to be blessed with parents that passed down very good genes. I have not taken the knife yet, but that's not to say that I won't yet. Who knows in another 10 years? No, but she resonates because when she came out into the public world, obviously she had been in Marston's brain for some time. The world needed that more than ever. There was really no women's equality. There was a lot of talk about it, and there were certainly feminists and suffragists that had come along prior to that, but really had not gotten very far. And I remember a book like it was, and now this is moving forward, not when I was born, but when I was a young bride, there was a book that came out called Fascinating Womanhood. Now, mind you, this is like in my early 20s, so this has gone on since Wonder Woman was created. Fascinating Womanhood took hold like wildfire, and basically what it was telling women of the day was to wear your shirtwaist dress when your husband comes home and walks into the house, have his martini glass ready and his dinner ready and the house spotless, and admire him. I mean, it was an entire book of showing the world, written by a woman, I might add, naturally, who was trying to keep it going so that women's place was in the home with her man. And I am so glad that the character of Wonder Woman and what she stands for has developed and grown, and now it's getting louder and louder and louder. The male and the female created he them. There's just no question that there is equality in the human species. Differences, yes. Equality, we got to still work for it.
I agree. Anyone else want to jump in with why you think Wonder Woman resonates? So I think Shannon, you covered it really well.
I think for me as a, I'm not quite as young as Shannon is.
Oh my God, how well put.
I'm not quite as young as Shannon is, but I am older than many of the other people here today. And for me, especially as a young man growing up with a very strong mother, a female role model, but also growing up gay, Wonder Woman represented to me through the voice on the Super Friends, and the fact that she was the only woman on the Super Friends, and then Linda Carter's portrayal in live action, and then the comics. What she represented to me was a character that I knew would accept me and be my friend no matter what, and that she cared more about character and honesty and love and truth and empathy more than she did about money or looks or heterosexuality or, you know, all the things that society was telling you were the important things. That wasn't what Wonder Woman represented. And she was strong and did not, if she rejected anyone or she chastised anyone or she punished anyone, it was because they were being bad people, not because of an aspect of their personality or because of their religion or because of that. You know, it was not about anything personal. She was somebody who represented pure acceptance and pure empathy. And I could hear that every time I heard Shannon on television. I could see that in Linda Carter's portrayal. And it really gave me, in addition to my own mother, it gave me a female character that I could look up to and know that they would always be there for me.
That's true. I'm here for you, Andy.
Aw.
And I love that.
Jen, I think you embody Wonder Woman. Sorry, who was speaking next?
Oh, it was me.
Go ahead.
I feel that when Marston was creating her, he ended up tapping into this archetype that had not been produced in media before, that she was able to embody everything that Andy was mentioning, because the other hero archetypes that were out in common were always filling more masculine roles, more aggressive things. And there was this huge void that she just stepped into. And it's also why she still remains so valuable to everyone decades later, is she's still the only one that's been able to harness that archetype of the warrior mother, not just one or the other. She is absolutely both. And you have to have both to have that empathetic justice that she always provides.
Yes, perfectly put.
I love it. What about you, Christian?
When I was growing up, I had 3 sisters, 2 aunts, a mother and a grandmother as my caretakers. And so one of the things that my older sister showed me was Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. It was after it had been taken off of the air, but I was absolutely transfixed by her. Everything that she brought to that character, I saw in women around me.
Yeah.
She was compassionate. She was powerful, but without being just, you know, break down the door and here I am. She used her power in a different way. She was preventative in a way. She didn't, you know, Superman just bursts in and starts destroying things. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
She didn't do that. She sort of, like I said, her power was preventative in a lot of ways. So I saw that. And now that Shannon is here, I'm going to reveal something. When I was younger, one of the episodes that stood out to me was the pairing with Wonder Woman and Apache Chief. And they're going to track down this snake. And Wonder Woman walks up to, or she says, "My magic lasso will get me up to that temple entrance." And that has stuck with me all of my life, because I used a rope that my grandfather had in the barn, and that was my magic lasso. And the temple entrance was a tree with a very wide V in it, that if I knew that if I could get up into that V, that I could be Wonder Woman and tackle this snake. Well, what I didn't count on was that the rope got stuck in the V, and I got stuck in the rope, and my grandfather had to come and take me down out of the tree. Not very Wonder Woman-like, but you know. But it always resonated with me that she was such a powerful character because she was so different. My comic book experience with her was a little different. I didn't really collect the comic books. If they happened to be in one of those little packages that you could get, you know, the packages of 3, then I was excited. But I didn't really follow the comic until Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I had just enough of a peripheral knowledge of her to be, you know, to see that she was represented well. Her relationship with Donna Troy was the mother that you were talking about, Joe. She was a mother without being like my mother was very hovering, and Dinah was never like that. And a lot of people don't realize that at the end of Crisis, Wonder Woman is killed, and that just devastated me. And I kept thinking, why am I so upset over this when I didn't really follow the comic? But that one panel was devastating, you know, to my younger self. And then when I found out that George was doing the series in '89, it encapsulated everything that I realized that I loved about Wonder Woman. The Greek mythology aspect was really what stuck me to George. Hermes was brought in as one of the gifters of Diana's powers. And Hermes has always been one of my favorite characters. So there's that sort of classical reference and that resonance there. So I think it just hits, I think that Diana hits all of the marks, if you follow what I'm saying. You can be 7 or 70 and you can find something about Diana and the Wonder Woman mythos that you can relate to. And I think in addition to what Joe said, that's what causes this resonance that people feel with her. And that was a long-winded answer, so.
That was wonderful to hear your story. I do want to point out that all through the Super Friends and the Challenge of the Super Friends, nobody dies.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody is killed.
Right.
They work through their process of communication without that. Now, there is the boom, bang, pizzazz stuff, of course, that's required. But it's Wonder Woman will never be accused of killing anybody. She will get the truth out of them and pass them on to somebody else to take care of anything else.
You know,
That's what we need
let
in
me-
this world.
I wanted to say, when you said that, when in the comics, when Diana is forced to kill Maxwell Lord, that broke my heart. I mean, it's because of what you just said that she always found a way around that. And when that was her only option, I mean, that was powerful storytelling, in my opinion, because that was her only option. She had exhausted everything up to that point, even to injuring her own self, and she had her bracelet up around her hand. And that was the only option she had. And I think that was why that was a piece of powerful storytelling.
Yeah, I just don't want them to have her start killing anybody. I don't want that original sense of strength, endurance, love, caring. I don't want all of that to all of a sudden be thrown into the masculine of the feminine role and in the form of destruction, because then we will lose the fact that she was created not to do that, to find another way.
Well, it's an interesting element of her origin story that they have unfortunately gone away from, but she is not only created through love, she's created all by women. And she is sculpted by her mother out of clay. She is
Yes.
brought to life by the goddesses. And, you know, she's brought to life because a mother wants to love so much that you know, that she asked the goddesses for that. So it's a very maternal take on an origin. And beyond that, as a character, if you look at almost every other character that is in superhero comics, almost every one of them comes from tragedy, and they are whether it's their parents are killed, their planet's blown up, they're bitten by something, they're in an accident, there's some kind of tragedy that they then overcome to become a hero.
Yes.
Whereas Diana is created not out of tragedy, but completely out of love, and then chooses to become a hero because it's the right thing to do, even though it will cost her her immortality and leaving Paradise Island and everything else. She chooses to become the best she can be. And what a message Marston had there. And it was really, you know, kept forward for almost 50 years or over 50 years of her creation before they started kind of straying from that.
Yeah. I was afraid of the straying the minute I started seeing the masculine type musculature being used on her body. And I thought, whoops, this is not going in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good point, Andy. Thank you for bringing that up. So Joe actually was on, Joe's laughing because, so I have a YouTube show that's not for kids, but it's called Drunk Comics, and Joe is on an episode that I have to edit and post, but the whole episode is literally just about that origin story and why that's so important.
Right.
Wonder Woman. And Joe's uniquely qualified to speak about it because she studied Wonder Woman and wrote her thesis on her. So that episode's going to come out eventually once I get to editing it, now that, once this con's over.
I had no idea there was a comic degree or a place to study comics.
Yeah,
Bravo.
it's technically called sequential art.
Oh,
It's comic books. I got a degree in comic books,
I love
and
it.
yeah, I wrote a historical thesis on the idea was which rendition of which rendition of someone who held the mantle of Wonder Woman most personified Marston's goals and ideals when he created the character. And
Wow.
blah, 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 rambling through my thesis. My conclusion was George Perez's version is the closest thing to the ideals because Marston was so limited in the time and decade which he created her. And it wasn't really until the Greek mythology and fully harnessing the feminine power within George's writing that you see for me, the height of who Diana is.
Have you all seen or read or have the Alex Ross book on the Spirit of Truth?
Yes.
I read that book on recording in her character. And we hoped, actually, I forget who got me started on that, but we did it. And the plan was to send it to Alex to see if he wanted to get it published. And I thought, what a wonderful thing that would be to have the CD in the back of the book. Never happened.
Oh.
That would have been amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But actually, somebody asked that about with Shannon. And it was something that I don't even know how many times you've played Wonder Woman again. I know it's a lot, but you've done commercials, you've done books on tape. Why are they not putting you in the movie? Did they ask you about being in the movie?
You know what would have been wonderful? They should have put anybody who did her in the movie. It would have been very easy. We could have all been on the island. I could have been a matriarch on the island. I could have been her grandmother. Well, I mean, I could have. I mean, and I have a career on screen. I don't just never have done just voice work.
So there's two questions for Shannon. Now that I just want to let you guys know Shannon's also going to have a Q&A tomorrow, but there are two questions for you, Shannon, in the chat. First one is, so have any women in the military who are in the military, have they spoken to you about like what Wonder Woman means to them and your role?
No, but what a fascinating panel that would be. Wow.
Yeah.
No one is, no. I mean, if they have come up to me at a comic convention, they weren't wearing their fatigues or anything.
Oh, so they didn't.
I would not have recognized their role.
Okay. So, and then the second question is, have you gotten the chance to meet anyone else who has portrayed Wonder Woman? So any other voice actors or
Yes, Susan Eisenberg, and she's an adorable gal. I like her. She's actually been to my home. And
nice.
we have chatted and gotten to know each other on different conventions. Mm-hmm.
Well, you both do a wonderful job with voice work. So
Thank you. Thank you.
And I have a question for all of my panelists. So Do each of you have a favorite Wonder Woman story? Like, this is it. This is your story that you think encompasses Wonder Woman. Now, Christian, you kind of got into it with your favorite story.
Well, I wouldn't say it was the favorite story. It was just a humorous story.
Oh
My
no, I mean like comic story.
Right. My favorite comic story, when I went to college, one of the classes that I took was similar to the one that Joe took. But they were studying The Watchmen. And I have to say, I was bored out of my mind with that story. So I brought in the first 12 issues of George Perez's Wonder Woman run. And I said, what if we covered this? And my professor was like, no, this is not a feminism class. And I said, this is not a feminism book. Just read it. So I gave him my 12 issues, and that was like giving him my child if I had one. So he came back that next Monday and he said, we're gonna make photocopies of this and everyone's gonna have one. We're gonna cover this.
Well
And
done, you.
it was before the trade paperbacks, and so we got the first issue, and of course the guy and I this stands out to me too. The guys in the class focused on George's use of nudity. And and of course in George's run, Hercules, it's implied that Hercules rapes Hippolyta, and the teacher was so adamant about pointing out that that he didn't do that he just enslaved her, and that was the problem. That it wasn't he veered away from any kind of misogyny or anything like that, and it was handled so well. And at the end of that short time frame, the people that had been focusing on the nudity and the violence and all of this were, I guess, transformed is the best word, because they had an understanding of the character that I knew on an intimate level and that they had just been introduced to. And I would say 5 or 6 out of 25 were converted Wonder Woman fans because of that, because of George's work, not because of anything I did, but because of the creativity that went into that character. And something that Andy touched on just a little bit was that she was created out of the most basic of human emotions. And I think that's what converted these 5 or 6 people, was that they could relate to a character that had their origins in love. And I just think that was amazing. And George happened to be at the Superman celebration in Metropolis, and I completely lost all ability to talk when I got up to it. And my friend Glenda was standing next to me, and I had the Wonder Woman, the truth that Alex Ross had done, and I had the JLA and Avengers thing with me, and all I could think to say was, your run on Wonder Woman was life-changing. And he shook my hand, hugged me, and his niece Mila came around and hugged me because I had done a photo manipulation of her as Wonder Girl. I mean, it was just such an overwhelming thing to meet the person that had really shaped my life in such a real way.
That's incredible. George is incredible. Who wants to go next with your favorite iconic Wonder Woman story?
It's interesting having experienced and read not everything. I own it, but there are some runs that I just I shake my head at, and I'm just like, when it's down to the last thing in the world to read, I'll read this run of issues, but I still think that the pilot episode that Linda Carter did is so true to Marston's original comics, and so in her sense of naivete and wonder and openness and guilelessness and all that in the pilot episode is so transfixing that it just, can't be beat. And there are episodes of Super Friends that I love, and there are comics that I love, and there are episodes of the TV show, and I love the 2017 movie and everything else, but that pilot was so extraordinary in how well it captured Wonder Woman's essence, that for me, that's the be all and end all. Shannon, how about you?
That's just too hard for me to answer because I love doing every single one of my episodes. I mean, for me, it was a joy to go to work. I was not only working with a wonderful role that was all mine, but I was working with the most amazingly talented people in the business.
That makes sense. What about you, Joe?
I think my answer is a little meandering. Because of my comic background, I ended up teaming up with a charity group called Heroes Alliance as a photographer. And eventually one of the branch leaders I was working with, I just finished photographing him as Hal Jordan. And his wife was getting changed into her costume for her session. And he comes rushing over to the computer, and I thought he was wanting to look at the proofs. And he was like, "Let me see your computer." Da, 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 da. And he pops up an image of Wonder Girl, and he's like, "You need to do this cosplay for her Wonder Woman." I was like, what? He's like, "You need to be on our team as our Wonder Girl." And I was like, okay, maybe, let me think about it. Well, a few months later, I am poring over piles of my comics and books and references and piecing together angles of George Perez's drawings to be like, how do I do the eagle and how should I do the shorts and all this, that, and the other. Time goes by, and then this lady and I were both at one of our big events at the Georgia Aquarium, and having the opportunity to try to personify those archetypal larger than life people, and having the children come up and just believe and just be so happy and have all it's kind of selfish, but having that love and care and admiration directed at you, and just the sheer protection of yes, I will be perfect because the world needs to be safe for you, and I will be your guardian. It's all of that. And I couldn't have had those experiences if it hadn't been this compounding effect of just Wonder Woman always being in my life.
I love that.
Me too.
Oh, and then kind of connected to Christian, go to Dragon Con because conventions, and there's this large, ginormous Wonder Woman shoot that George Perez shows up to every year because he just gets a kick out of it. And I'm literally hiding behind a couple of my friends because, again, I am nervous. I don't want, that is an icon. He is larger than life. And apparently, he is bubbly and giggly and what? And he pulls me out from the crowd and he's like, "You're the best Wonder Girl I've ever seen," and just hugs me. And I'm like,
Oh.
I'm gonna pass out now. Oh, okay. And then another friend was like, "Turn around, get a picture." I was like, okay. What was that? Anyways.
Joe, are you familiar with Margie Cox?
That's exactly who I was talking about.
She came to Metropolis one year, and I have a picture of her and myself doing the bracelet thing.
Yes.
She impressed me so much. I drew a picture of her and gave it to her. I mean,
Yeah.
She was just so gracious, and she was one of the ones that said, also that George was really, really personable.
Yeah. Yeah. I was literally hiding behind Margie.
It's amazing how much Margie embodies Wonder Woman. She looks almost like one of the Alex Ross paintings come to life.
Wow.
Yep.
And she takes it very seriously. You were talking about the children. When she was standing in front of the statue, everyone comes to take pictures in front of the statue, and she was standing in front of the statue, and this little girl in this star-spangled skirt and this little red t-shirt comes up to her, and she holds out this doll of Wonder Woman. And Margie is so great. She just picks up the little girl in one arm and she holds up her other arm, and they take this picture. And it was just a beautiful moment. I think it's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. Always like that at every single Heroes Alliance event. Yeah, it was. And that's why, again, because Margie, and that's why when Ned, her husband, was like, you need to be her Wonder Girl, I was like, I don't know if I can live up to those standards.
This is who you were talking about. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, Ned being crazy, rambunctious, precocious Ned.
Right. Well, Hal, but
Yeah.
It was funny when I had never met Mila before, and she had done Wonder Girl she had done some photos of Wonder Girl, and I just took the photo and put like a Grecian background to it, with a fallen pillar and all of this. And George messaged me, and of course the fanboy in me just almost fell out, and he said, "Why did you reverse the photo?" Because I had just flipped it around, and I was like, better lighting angle. And he's like, okay. And I thought, what do you say to him when he questions you about choices? I mean, he's influenced my artwork over the years, and I think because he did Wonder Woman, that also influenced my versions of Wonder Woman. I like, she's a little more like when Shannon was talking about how some people draw her as this muscular woman, like She-Hulk almost.
Yeah.
I tend to slim her down like George did. She was slender, not muscular, but she had musculature, which is the difference. I don't think a lot of people pick that up. And I was going to say something to Andy. There's several runs that you probably really need to overlook. Because I tried to follow her, and I was like, oh, Mike Diodato, I think, drew it's a thong. She's wearing like a thong, and and I'm like, wait, who is this person that I'm looking at?
No.
It really bothers me when people try and sexualize that character. Of all the characters out there there's Starfire that George put sexuality into on purpose.
Right.
And even when he was drawing Donna Troy, there was a sexiness to her. She wasn't sexual. She was, you know what I mean? And the unitard that she wore, it was just low cut enough that it could be sexy, but it wasn't what Starfire was, And when Wonder Woman appeared in the Teen Titans, she was sexy without being sexual. You could just see that he had an appreciation for this character even before he got the book. Even the covers that he did, the cover that he did for Justice League 200 was amazing to me. And I can't tell you how many times I tried to draw that Wonder Woman figure. It just didn't quite get up to George's level. I don't know why, but
Can I ask Shannon a question?
Sure.
Would that be all right? So Shannon, how much did you did Wonder Woman for 10 years on Super Friends.
And Challenge of the Super Friends.
Yeah. How much did when you started, obviously you saw the designs for the character and everything, but how much did the physicality of it and the look of it, how did that affect you shaping the voice you used and the, kind of commanding heroic quality and so forth?
I really have to say, although the director and I worked together on where we would go, it didn't take long to recognize that the artwork at the time, which remained pretty true to the time we worked on it, this was definitely a feminine woman. There was no question that she was going to be the feminine version of a superhero, but she had all of the other attributes of the so-called masculine. It's like the even individual all of a sudden. She had to be both. And also she didn't look sexy, but she didn't look sexless.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference with that. I mean, she wasn't trying to appear other than she was who she was. So I just went with the feeling of, well, I've got that. That's part of me. All that stuff is part of me. It's actually part of everybody. But I recognized her right away. I had everything but the flip haircut. I mean, even the age. I mean, truly, I was very young when we started. And it just came, and we tweaked it a little through the years, but not very much. One of the first things he said when I started playing with the script, my director, was, well, now you have to take off her shirtwaist dress and put on her boots. So right away, he wanted the strength to come across. She had to use her muscle as well as everything else.
Right.
That clicked in. That just, look at that Brad with that beautiful doll. Okay.
Oh.
That's the one. I love that. That's my favorite doll. I have that too. Yeah. So anyway, I recognized her as being part of every woman. Just a lot of women aren't willing to put it out there. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
And I was lucky. I had a mother who, but my family was in show business. So I had a mother who told me I could do anything I wanted to do, be anything I wanted to be. I just had to practice. Duh.
Good.
Shannon, do you have an episode that stands out to you as, I guess a favorite would be a good way to put it?
I don't, but I have situations that I always enjoyed. And that's when, we had to do 3 voices for our paycheck, our regular voice and 2 others. And when I had to do a lot in that arena, I was always happy, jumping into somebody else, jumping in and making sure there was differences. There are ears that can catch that it was me, but I'm trying to make it sound like it's not me. So I loved that kind of thing. Love doing that.
It's funny. I was just recently watching some, and it was much easier to tell when Danny Dark was doing a different voice,
Yeah.
because it still sounded like Danny Dark.
Yeah. No, he was one of the ones that always worked with his hand over his ear like Gary Owens. And sometimes Danny would do this. And, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I shut it off. You nest. It is off. Why am I hearing that? I don't know. Yeah, he was fun to watch because prior to that, and Gary Owens worked with us actually once in a while, but he just looked so serious with his Superman thing going on. It was just such fun to watch.
So Conroy asks, did you ever have to use your Wonder Woman voice outside the studio?
Oh yes. I mean, do you know how many fans come up and say, "Oh, let me hear you say Great Hera"? I mean, we did a lot of promos for when Turner Network bought the cartoons. We did a lot of fun promos, and then of course Andy very graciously invited me to do his CD, DVD, whatever. And I'm always looking for another opportunity to speak her.
I love that. I mean, once you get the chance to be Wonder Woman, I feel like, why would you give that up?
Well, I wouldn't have, but you know what? After 10 years, they just decided somebody needed a new girl.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's showbiz, kids.
But in your heart, you are still Wonder Woman, and to all of us, you're still Wonder Woman. And
it's gonna happen. I when I got to do Wonder Woman, Bionic Woman, that was a story that I created that was in my head from when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
I was 10 when I thought of that story, and I was 50 something when I wrote it. It's important not to give up on the idea that sometimes you just have to make things happen through force of will.
Well, and you know what? When you have a wonderful idea and you're a writer, The idea's never gone.
There you
It's a
go.
wonderful book. I literally am just pages from finishing, written by Anne Lamott, called Bird by Bird. It's about the wonderful experience of writing and the philosophies that she comes up with, and she also teaches writing, but this book is much more than that. It's just, if you're a writer, you really should pick that book up.
I love her. Her philosophy on life is amazing.
I read almost unusual title. Just one prior to this book was something almost a little about almost everything, or it's just a cute title, but wow, it was packed full of wonderful wisdom.
Bye,
Well,
Brad.
I want to point out to people that the fans were able to get Zack Snyder's Justice League, onto HBO. So I think if the fans really started putting pressure on Warner Bros., or putting the idea and putting pressure on Warner Brothers that Shannon Farnon should be in Wonder Woman 3 and the Amazons movie, that maybe we can get Wonder Grandma in there.
I'll stay in shape, I promise you. Actually,
Yeah.
I am in shape, so
I was gonna say, you look like you're in amazing shape.
I have to stay with it. Yeah, I am. I won't tell you my measurements, but they're good.
I would not even think to ask. You don't ask a lady her measurements.
Well, not unless you're going to cosplay.
That's different. No, I mean, I've been asked, why don't you wear the costume? And I just think a grandmothered Wonder Woman is not in my league.
Oh, I have seen it, and cosplay is for every age. I
Yes.
say
Oh, yeah, every age and every sex.
yes.
Yeah.
I have seen men rocking Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Brad,
gosh,
you
it's
did
so
that.
much fun.
Oh, it is. And little children, and oh, yeah. And people who are overweight and underweight. And I love the way people just let it all hang out.
Yes.
There was
I
a
have a-
designer on Project Runway that did, it was a parody of Wonder Woman, but the hair was huge, the bustier was huge. His name was Chris something, and I can't remember, but they featured his Wonder Woman cosplay on Project Runway. So
Ah,
mine has even made Project Runway.
well,
Nice.
I haven't made Project Runway, so.
You
Not
could.
yet. Not yet. You got a lot of years ahead.
There you go. Oh, look at Brad here with his great toys.
Oh no, that's him as Wonder Woman.
Oh, I couldn't see that.
Yes.
I couldn't see it.
Yeah,
Closer.
Brad.
Woo, I should.
I
love
pay
it.
Mama,
I didn't
Oh.
recognize him. That's awesome.
mama.
Yeah, that was the closest I get to cosplay, is that I have these on my wrists, and they're tattooed every single day. And I tell people it's interesting because so many people will ask what they are, and if they are over the age of 35, I will usually go like this, and I'll go, "What do you think they are?"
Yeah.
And people will look at this image right here of with a beard and so forth, clearly with Wonder Woman's bracelets, but they will look at the beard and they'll be like, and they'll do anything they can to not say that I've got Wonder Woman's bracelets tattooed
Right,
on.
right.
And so I'll give them like 45 seconds to squirm, and then I'll be like, no, really, what do you think they are? And then they'll go, are they Wonder Woman's bracelets? And I'm, of course,
Of course. Love it. Love it.
because Wonder Woman is for everyone.
That's right. Wonder Woman is the spirit of women and men. It's
for sure.
where we should be headed as a humanity, to use our strength and our brain and our love and to put it all together and try to go through the world as one humanity.
Wonder Woman teaches us our inclusivity and And the first comparison I made was your voice to Linda Carter. I thought, that doesn't sound like Wonder Woman, with all due respect to Linda Carter. But
Of course.
the Super Friends show led me into writing Hanna-Barbera to get model sheets and whatever they would send from their publicity department. And that made me later become an animator and then a producer. And then I did children's television things and then full circle, it taught me the inclusivity in writing for any project to make sure there's a balance of women to men always. And so
That's just so wonderful, Charlie. Keep up the good work.
well, thanks. We write dragon books now, and we make sure that, by golly, we've got as many female dragons as we do male dragons, and they're all powerful. So I thank Wonder Woman for that. I think you were the first Wonder Woman to me, and that influence was so strong and powerful. And I didn't know when I was 13, 14 that I would be influenced by that, but realizing that we absolutely must have the female counterpart
Yes.
to Superman always. And now they do a better job with inclusifying superheroes. But at the time, it was like, well, there's Wonder Woman, and then there's Batman, Aquaman, Robin, and Superman, and Green Lantern, and it's like all these white guy superheroes. It was like, oh, we need the inclusivity, we need multicultural, we need the green Martian Manhunter, and we need all of them. But Wonder Woman was the leader for me to realize.
Well, that's why we depend on writers like you to make it happen.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the influence without knowing it, but thank you very much. And now it's come full circle. Now I know.
All right, so panelists, do you have any closing thoughts on Wonder Woman? It's about that time.
I would like to say thank you all for participating with such freedom and joy and love when you talk about her.
Thank you, Shannon.
I would just like to say thank you to Shannon. She was the first Wonder Woman for me before Linda, and also to let people know, if you're at all interested in the Wonder Woman Bionic Woman book that I wrote, it is almost out of print, and it is never going to see print again because of the licensing deal. They got one printing and that's it. So right now you can still get it probably for cover price or something like that. Once it's out of print, that's when it's going to start shooting up in price. So
Well, send me a link, for heaven's sakes.
I'll send it to you, Shannon.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Yeah.
Post the link, definitely. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so definitely check it out while you can, and keep an eye on future Wonder Woman projects at DC, because you never know if you might see my name pop up.
Exciting. What about you, Joe and Christian?
Joe, go first.
It's really nice to sit and chat about such an amazing character and, in my opinion, archetype, with so many originators and fans, and just feel the love. And thank you for a wonderful hour.
Yeah.
I wanted to say thank you to Shannon. I am just honored to share a panel with you.
Oh, you're making me cry now. Stop it.
You influenced me just as much as George did, and you almost cost me my life with that lasso cage. But I really appreciate the time that everyone took to be with us. And I want to say a special thank you to Andy. I've never had the pleasure of speaking with you in person, but I'm sending you a virtual hug right now. And thank you to Phoenix for asking me to be on the panel. And
You're welcome.
Yes.
that's all I think.
Well, Shannon, I'm going to thank you all individually because I want to. Shannon, thank you so much for being on the panel, for being so generous with your time this weekend. Obviously, your portrayal of Wonder Woman is amazing, and you still embody her and her ideals, and that's so important. I'm trying not to cry now, too.
We're taking turns.
I know. This character means so much to me. Andy, thank you so much also for being so generous with your time and for taking such good care of this character, DC. Like, it makes me feel good that you're working on so many Wonder Woman related projects, and this character means a lot to a lot of people, and just it makes me happy that DC is employing writers like you. Like, just every time I get to do a charity event or a con when I'm in costume, people of all ages come up to me, boys, girls, men, women, and how much the character means to them. It's just such an important character. So I'm glad she's in good hands with you, Andy, and
Tattooed hands.
tattooed hands. That just makes me so happy. Christian, thank you for joining in. Like, your knowledge of Wonder Woman is incredible, and like, you can take me to school on the comics knowledge. I've read a lot of Wonder Woman comics, but Christian, you can definitely take me to school.
Anytime.
And we're gonna have a Drunk Comics episode once this is over. I swear to God, I'm not trying to plug my show. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
It's just naturally
Yeah,
coming.
plug away.
Joe, thank you for joining. You also could take me to school, and you're bringing the academic piece as well as your fan piece, and just all of you bring a passion for this character that we all love so much. And this panel has been so much fun. This is like,
Hey, thank you, Phoenix Sisters,
Yes.
for having us on. I wanted to just really quickly say, Shannon, are you doing autograph photos for fans through this?
oh,
I
yeah.
am. You just email me and I will send you the PayPal link. And my email is shannonfarnan1@gmail.com.
Fantastic.